Oh, by the way, y'all, exploding diarrhea update. Okay, yeah, we are going to talk about the exploding diarrhea, which I'm going to be honest, as an IBS girly, part of me is concerned that I wouldn't know if I have that parasite. Okay, jokes aside, it's actually kind of terrifying me a little bit. Let's take a look about
Well, the typical symptoms, William, are
sporiasis. I think that's what it's called. The xylosporiasis outbreak that is specifically linked to produce.
31 states are now reporting cases of a parasitic intestinal disease that is making life miserable for those who contract it. And while the U.S. has seen outbreaks of cyclosporiasis in the past.
And of course, as this relates to RFK Jr., the CDC had stopped monitoring the parasite that is now causing explosive diarrhea and other terrible symptoms. So this parasite that was being monitored by the CDC is now no longer, because as the Trump administration, as RFK Jr. with Make America Healthy Again, by cutting and defunding federal health and science agencies, continue to do just that, making things more efficient by getting rid of health and science agencies. That has now had an effect on this explosive diarrhea parasite.
The some 4,000 reported cases this summer are much higher than normal.
Make America shit again, y'all. Make America fucking shit. Michigan, which is the epicenter, released an update from their Department of Health and Human Services that said current results are pointing to the source being lettuce or salad greens. Yes. There's another part of me that's like, well, somebody who's never been particularly fond of salad, just got to say, maybe I win this time.
Raising real concerns about the illness. William Brangham has more on what you need to know.
Right now, officials can't pinpoint the exact source or sources of this outbreak. It's a food or waterborne disease caused by a parasite, Cyclospora, and pinpointing precisely where it's coming from is a challenge. Michigan is bearing the brunt with more than 2,600 reported cases, including 44 that have landed people in the hospital. Joining us to explain what all this means and how to stay healthy is Dr. Omer Awan. He's at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. Dr. Awan.
Yeah, Michigan, y'all got some serious shit happening. You have you're at the epicenter of the explosive diarrhea parasite, and also you gotta get Haley Stevens out. Okay, talk about the human embodiment of explosive diarrhea. Haley Stevens, full of shit. So, if there's one thing that you have control over, aside from maybe not getting lettuce right now, being careful about your fresh produce, it is ensuring that Haley Stevens does not win the primary against Abdul al-Sayed. If Abdul were smart, he would pin this outbreak on her.
Thank you so much for being here. To start off with,
did we watch this Stevens clip yet? Oh, God.
Going to be working on our behalf. I am going to be telling the stories on our behalf. And you better believe I'm going to be doing it with a little bit of joy, a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of energy, and a little bit of stick it to them.
Okay. She is exactly the person who would wear this color of blazer, first of all. But we, in this moment right now, we need to ensure that people don't forget she's a genocidal monster, that she is under that, whatever color you call that blazer, a just corporation. Okay. And I think what's been happening is because she's kind of turning into this character. I worry that Michigan voters, but also other people who are covering the race, are not staying focused on what a monster person she is. Right. Like the whole kind of lol cow, oh, she's a character, yada, yada, yada. The jokes help keep her front of mind, which is bad. Like staying focused on the fact that she is terrible. She sucks.
Because that's the Michigan way. I am going to be working on our behalf. I am going to be telling the stories on our behalf.
So for this is not necessarily for y'all, but for people who are in a commentator position, please try not to just lean into memes and jokes, because people need to know Haley Stevens is a genocidal freak. She is there to represent the interests of corporations. She is bad. She is bad, 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 bad.
And you better believe I'm going to be doing.
Yeah. Okay. All right, back to the exploding
If
diarrhea.
I were to ingest this parasite, how do I know that I've got it? What are the symptoms people should look out for?
Well, the typical symptoms.
If I already have diarrhea on a concerning level, how do I know if I have the explosive diarrhea parasite? What's a normal amount of times to get diarrhea in a day?
William, are things like nausea, fatigue, bloating, and of course, explosive
Asking for
watery
a friend.
diarrhea. And that's the symptom that's been getting a lot of attention, because this is really different, because most stomach bugs, usually the watery diarrhea lasts about 2 or 3 days. With the cases of cyclosporiasis, the diarrhea can last weeks, if not months. And that's what makes this so problematic. And if you have diarrhea for more than perhaps 2 or 3 days, you should really talk to your doctor, get tested, and get treated so that you can feel better.
And I understand that the incubation period for the parasite's eggs, once they're in your body, it can take days or even a week or more for you to start showing symptoms, which seems like it makes it very difficult to identify what thing it was that you ate or drank that caused the problem.
People dying of dysentery again. Yeah, we got measles and mumps and polio and dysentery. It's all back. It's all back. You know, if you ever wondered what it was like to live in old England, right? When you read back on those times, when we joke about Victorian children and how they wouldn't have survived a Four Loko, which nobody survives a Four Loko. Well, good thing now is that we've got it all now.
That's exactly
these
right. The
days,
incubation period can be anywhere from
replaying
2
the
days
greatest
to
hits.
14 days. So that's 2 weeks. So many of us don't really remember what we ate 2
Yeah, if you experienced dysentery via the Oregon Trail in junior high, well, now you may be able to experience it in real life. So thank you to Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for getting rid of important scientists and researchers, to the Trump administration for cutting funding, which included the agency that was monitoring this explosive diarrhea parasite.
weeks ago. I mean, I can't even remember what I ate 2 weeks ago. So it's very problematic, and it makes it challenging to really know and track down what's causing these cases. And that's exactly why the CDC and the United States don't know exactly what the source is for all these thousands of cases, because we don't know exactly what food, what produce, or what brand is leading to all these cases that we're seeing here currently in the United States.
I mean, as we've mentioned, this is not a new bug. We've seen outbreaks of this before, but this one seems particularly large. Do you have a sense as to why this one's so big?
Well, one of the reasons is exactly what we just stated, William, that we don't know what the source is. We don't know what the exact produce is or the brand of the produce. Now, historically, most cases have been related to contaminated food from produce, things like lettuce, cilantro, basil, raspberries even, but we haven't pinned that down. And because we haven't pinned it down, that means that these cases are likely to disseminate. People are still eating the contaminated food.
Yeah, so basically the CDC program called FoodNet was the program that was helping federal and state regulators track foodborne pathogens. And in addition to cyclospora, which is the pathogen causing the explosive diarrhea outbreak, the surveillance of Campylobacter, Listeria, Shigella, Vibrio, and Yersinia was all cut. So now FoodNet is only monitoring salmonella and Shiga toxin producing E. coli. That's it.
That's leading to
You did
so
great.
many
Thank you.
cases. The other is the incubation period that we talked about. Because the incubation period can be 2 weeks, even if we were to stop and contain the source today, there would still be increased cases a week from now, 2 weeks from now, because of this incubation period. And then finally, what I would say is that this usually peaks in the summer. Cyclosporiasis usually thrives on heat and humidity. And we typically see a lot of cases from May to August. Certainly not the magnitude that we're seeing currently, but we do see cases in these summer months.
Yeah, can we stop monitoring those last two as well, just to be safe? Yes, I'll pass that along. PSA, fruits of the thick peel are safe since the parasite burrows in the top layer from what I've read. Everything else, cook it to at least 106 degrees. Internal, wash your hands on cutting boards, knives after handling produce. I was also reading that as far as where you should get your, because there's no, they don't know where this is coming from. Like there's no specific supplier or food item that they have determined is where this is really causing the widespread outbreak. But I think certified farmers markets, which have fresh produce that come directly from the farms, is considered to be safer. So like local, with the supply chain being shorter, but still take caution, that's not a guarantee. Like if you're buying locally, that it's not going to have this pathogen.
Some critics have pointed out that CDC last year stepped back from.
Bro, most of the produce we get here in South Asia is so fucking fresh. You can sometimes still see the soil from the farm and the produce still, especially potatoes. I cannot remember the last time we had a major food-based illness here. I don't get how America does it. I'm not kidding you. I do think that there is a level of discomfort people are used to after eating their food. I think having regular kind of stomach problems is actually much more common here. It's gotten to a point it's almost normalized. That's why I jokingly, but not so jokingly, have been like, so if you kind of regularly have diarrhea, how would you know if you have this parasite? Like low key, what's the difference here? What are the additional symptoms to potentially tell you if you have the explosive diarrhea parasite?
Some of its foodborne sort of poison pathogen surveillance. Is that contributing to this problem at all or not?
I would say absolutely it is, William, for a couple of reasons. One is, remember that the HHS and the federal government laid off a lot of CDC employees. Many of them were the very employees that would track these particular outbreaks. And the other is that from July of 2025 last year, the CDC has no longer required reporting cyclosporiasis. It's become optional to report this to the CDC's Foodborne Disease Active Surveillance Network. So this is precisely why
our ultra-processed diet in the U.S. is the reason stomach and colon cancer rates are skyrocketing. Yes, and concerning that it is rising within younger populations, younger people.
We don't have a good handle of exactly the number of cases. If you remember, the CDC has reported less than 1,000 cases, but we know that there are more than 3,000 or 4,000 cases. I mean, there are more than 2,600 cases in Michigan alone. So the states have more of an accurate representation than actually even the federal government, the CDC. So these two reasons are really the main reasons why our response outbreak has really been hampered for cyclosporiasis.
You mentioned that people should go see their doctor if they have these symptoms. We should say this is not a fatal illness, and there is an antibiotic treatment for it. But what kinds of things should people do to try to protect themselves?
The good news is that there are treatments available. You typically take a antibiotic known as Bactrim for about 7 to 10 days. Overwhelmingly, most people feel much better. Their symptoms resolve with maybe a week treatment of antibiotics. There's a lot of common sense tactics that people can use. One, of course, is just washing your hands for 20 seconds, making sure that we wash produce with running water, making sure you really scrub that produce, refrigerating produce as soon as you get back from the grocery store. But ultimately, the only way you can really eliminate cyclosporiasis is by cooking it at a temperature of 158 degrees Fahrenheit. If you do that, you eliminate it. But just by doing those simple common sense measures, you can significantly reduce your chances of getting cyclosporiasis.
Dr. Omar Awan of the University of Maryland Medical School, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, okay,
more cases.
Cutting back on funding from CDC programs that are specifically to track these types of foodborne pathogens. What that does is normalize the idea that surveilling foodborne diseases is way too expensive, is not high up on the list of priorities, although with this administration and HHS under RFK Jr., I don't know really what the fucking priorities are at all. Aside from like allowing the sale of public lands for corporations to mine them. But that, so it's incredibly important. Like it is foundational to food safety. And so what happened last year as far as massive cuts across the board to science and health programs, now we're seeing effects from that. Cause, effect. CDC is woke. I like my explosive diarrhea. All right, you can't take that away from me.
Cases of a gut-wrenching illness that is caused by a parasite that may be found in raw.
If I ain't shitting 40 times a day right after I'm eating, then I don't want it. That ain't America. Here in America, we're free to shit. I want liquid coming out of my ass every hour of the day.
Raw vegetables and fruit. There's a lot of uncertainty around that. That's why I say may. There are new numbers that have just been released, and they show that there are now more than 3,000 cases in Michigan and Ohio, which are the hardest hit states, most of them in Michigan. We have CNN health reporter Jacqueline Howard joining us on this. Jacqueline, this story just really seems to
shitting 50 times a day and then having to drink water that is poisoned by data centers. Sick.
Balloon here. Tell us more about the people who have gotten sick and some of the uncertainty around all of this.
Hell yeah, America.
That's
Never
right,
been
Brianna.
so
We're
free.
seeing more and more cases emerge.
Great.
And what we know about the people who've gotten sick, some of them have been hospitalized. When you look at Michigan alone, where there are now more than 2,600 cases that have been reported.
Yeah, all made worse by the fact that Americans don't often use bidets. Yeah, that way too many Americans still think it's gay to use a bidet. They're like, bidet? Gay as hell. Yeah, or getting a colonoscopy. Gay as I ain't having anything up my ass. Because that's gay. Okay. One time I saw a visual. not like that. I saw a visual using a balloon. Right. And you know how a balloon at the point that it's tied off, it's kind of a little bit like an asshole. Okay, stay with me. So I saw this like video where somebody was trying to explain why wiping your ass versus blasting it with water from a bidet is a big difference. And so it smeared like some smear on the asshole of the balloon and showed you the difference in wiping it off versus hitting it with water. Where sure, to those who get it, you're like, duh. Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Using balloon to show why wiping versus. Oh God, I don't know if I can find this. Let me see. Okay. I think this is it. Yes. Yes. Yep. Just silently watching this balloon. This demonstration uses a balloon filled with chocolate sauce to show the difference between wiping and washing when it comes to hygiene. When the outside is wiped with tissue, residue remains, but when water is used to flush it, the inside is cleaned much more effectively. This mirrors how bidets work, using a targeted stream of water to remove waste more thoroughly than dried toilet paper alone. Research has shown that washing can significantly reduce bacterial residue while also being gentler on the skin and reducing the need for paper, making it both a hygienic and more environmentally friendly option. Clean butthole gang. That's right. Yes. Wash your ass. Wash your ass. There's one thing I want you to take away from this stream. Wash your ass.
44 of them.
You don't want to be like an Asmongold, okay? You don't want to be like an unwashed ass loser. Wash your ass.
Have been hospitalized. And when you look across the country, there have been dozens more hospitalizations as well. In total, Brianna, 31 states across the country have reported cases.
You don't
but
want an
not all
unwashed,
of those
crusty
cases
ass
that we know so far are connected. These cases are still under investigation, and currently the only cluster of cases that has been described as an outbreak are those cases in Michigan, as well as...
I'll be honest, that chocolate was way wetter than the average healthy doo-doo. We're talking about explosive diarrhea parasites. Okay? So especially now in this conversation about a parasite that's causing people to shit liquid like 50 times a day, wash your ass.
Some in Ohio. And the reason why it's really difficult, Brianna, to pinpoint, okay, what's the original source of this outbreak or of these clusters is because once someone becomes infected, it can take anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks for symptoms to emerge. So health officials, especially those in Michigan, are really scrambling to identify the source of these cases. And the symptoms that cyclospora infections, which is called cyclosporiasis, the symptoms of this illness include watery diarrhea. In some cases, it's described as explosive diarrhea, Brianna, as well as loss of appetite, cramping, bloating, nausea, fatigue. These symptoms can lead to dehydration, and for some patients, it's dehydration that has led to them being hospitalized. So it's really important, Brianna, to be...
And of course, has any reporter in the White House Press Association asked Trump what they're going to do about this? Have as a single one linked the cutting of this CDC agency that was tracking, surveilling these pathogens to now this outbreak where they're like, oh, we don't know where it's coming from, but we know where it's coming out of.
Mindful of how you can even become infected. A lot of infections sometimes are tied to infected contaminated fresh produce or contaminated water, like from water parks, or if you're eating fresh produce. So it's really important to wash your fruits and vegetables because this illness can be miserable. I'm telling you, Brianna, a lot of people want to avoid this altogether.
Okay, so talk to us about washing fruits and vegetables, because the pictures that
wash your fruits and veggies, wash your ass.
We're looking at here, I think, is how a lot of people do it. They run their fruit or vegetable underneath a stream of water. Maybe they're trying to make sure they clean the surface of it. I mean, is that enough? Is there a soak? Do they need to use some kind of additive in the water? What can we do?
Yeah, so water is better than nothing, but to really be more effective with cleaning your fruits and vegetables, you can add a little bit of vinegar to create a vinegar rinse. So what you want to do, mix 1 part vinegar with 3 parts water in a large bowl. put your fruits or your vegetables in there, make sure they're covered with this vinegar rinse, and then physically stir your fruits and vegetables around in that water, and even, scrub or rub those fruits and vegetables to really make sure you're like physically cleaning them off. And that can help really, really make washing your fruits and vegetables more effective with reducing your risk of getting sick in the first place. So try that out. And Brianna, that is more effective than just water alone.
Dr. Redfield, how serious is this illness, and what sort of food should we be avoiding right now?
Well, it can be quite serious, and then it can cause severe dehydration if it's not treated in terms of maintaining your hydration. Luckily, an antibiotic that we know as Bactrim or Ceftra does have some positive impact, so it is partially treatable. But it can be a quite uncomfortable gastrointestinal pathogen.
Talk about someone who loves
a
to shit.
parasite. It can really last anywhere from 2 to 2 days,
My number one
2
shitter.
weeks, and even longer into even a month with severe diarrhea, gastrointestinal disturbances. The foods that we associate it with largely are fresh vegetables and fresh fruits. We have had outbreaks in this country secondary to cilantro, to basil, to snow peas, to raspberries, to lettuce. The challenge we have is that there's no real reservoir for this. The reservoir for this pathogen is actually human feces. So it's a subject of human contamination in water and in the foods that we eat.
Yeah. So what I would say is you can still consume produce, but it needs to be thoroughly washed. It needs to be cooked. And right now, what should be avoided are like pre-washed type of salad mixes, etc. So things that you can't cook, you should be avoiding, especially in states like Michigan, where there are 1,000 people, right? I think it's up to 1,000 people who have contracted this.
It does get killed by heating to 158 degrees. But it is hard to,
is this how we make America healthy again?
Parasite. And so when you wash your vegetables, it doesn't necessarily always wash off. So, obviously the safest thing is to eat cooked vegetables, cooked fruit. But it's quite significant outbreak right now we have in the United States. It's in 31 states. We've had no deaths. We have had, 80 something 86 hospitalizations, I think the last I checked. But it can make you severe diuretic. It's a bigger problem for immunosuppressed patients with HIV infection. They can have bouts that will last longer, even months.
Wow. So what should you do then if you think you're sick with this parasite?
Look, they're both like, oh, okay. Well, is it over? Like, is that it?
If you
Is that just how things are in this country now? A shit show, one might say.
If you do think you have it, you developed, diarrhea, abdominal bloating, abdominal discomfort. It's not a bad idea to see your physician, because they can actually treat you with a drug called Bactrim or Ceftra if you're not allergic to sulfa, and that can alleviate your symptoms much quicker. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of good alternative bacteria. Some people have. There's one study that I think was done, only one study that suggested maybe ciprofloxacin was effective.
I said this when we came in, and I said, I don't care what happens, I'm going to a meeting every day.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not scared of a germ. I used to snort cocaine off of toilet seats. And I know this disease will kill me.
Right.
Like if I don't treat it, which means going to.
You know how you don't have to worry about pathogens and germs and diseases, because if you snort cocaine off a toilet seat, you got hella immunity.
Meetings every day. It's
like, bro, you have a worm in your brain.
it's just bad for my life. I mean, for me.
Also, I just have to say, snorting cocaine off a toilet seat is so unnecessary. Like, you only do that because you want to snort cocaine off a toilet seat. I'm just saying. That's not normal. That's not like back in the 80s and 90s when everybody was doing cocaine. They were all snorting it off the toilet seats. Like, that's really not what you needed to do. Nor now. You know?
But it really wasn't a very good study, and I don't think the data is very clear. So I really think the only antibiotic that I have any confidence that may have any benefit would be Bactrim Receptra.
That's not
Last
even a
year,
choice, it's
Dr.
just a
Redfield, the
kink.
CDC actually scaled back a decades-long federal-state partnership that monitors foodborne illnesses, including those caused by Cyclospora. The move no longer requires...
You know, RFK Jr. is that guy who is that a thing? People are doing, they take the cocaine out. They're like, oh God, here he goes, putting on the toilet seat. They're like, brother, we have other things. Bro, we have other ways to ingest this cocaine. He's like, no, the toilet seat. Literally any, we have options. Oh God, no, here he goes. Yeah, that's his thing.
There's authorities to report it and other pathogens
Weezer, thank
to
you,
the
12 months.
Foodborne Diseases Active Surveillance
Yummy.
Network known as FoodNet. How do those cuts to the agency impact the response to outbreaks like we're seeing right now?
Well, it's harder to identify them. I mean, the key to public health
it's
response
harder
is
to
pathogen
identify
identification.
them. You mean to tell me if you are cutting you are cutting all these agencies, then it's harder to identify pathogen outbreaks? It's harder to get a handle on? No way. I can't believe it.
When I was CDC director, I really thought we had a very good program that could really pick up foodborne pathogens pretty quickly in partnership with the FDA. So I don't think it's in our country's interest to cut these programs.
She looks so perturbed. She's just like,
Back. Surveillance is sort of the key to early identification. The problem with the cyclosporin outbreak is since it may take 2 to 14 days, even longer to a month to get symptomatic, it's really hard to identify source. So right now, even though it's in 31 states, unlike most foodborne outbreaks, well, we don't know the source. We don't know if it's lettuce. We don't know if it's cilantro. We don't know if it's basil. We really don't know the source.
Great.
And that makes it even more problematic to try to contain the outbreak.
Can we start with just what makes this different than other foodborne illnesses?
So it makes it different in that we still haven't been able to track where it's coming from. So unlike many infections, this is not transmitted from human to human. The more likely place that we get it is actually from our food source.
and just remember, it's not just the explosive diarrhea parasite that, as you have heard in these two segments, they keep going, yeah, the difference here is we have no idea where it's coming from. Can't identify it. Don't have the agency anymore. They got cut. But also remember that the cutbacks have brought back a flesh-eating parasite that is found in cattle. Remember that thing? The bird flu, scientists that were managing the bird flu, and fired them. What was there was like, I swear, there was another pathogen. I can't remember which one it was. I mean, at this point, well, yeah, polio coming back. Maybe that's why Mitch McConnell was like, it's time for me to go. Polio's back. Then actually Mitch McConnell's like, polio's back. Great. Me too. Measles. They also cut, they fired the FDA's medical device reviewers. So the agency that reviews medical devices, gone. There was funding for the protection of pregnant women who are experiencing domestic violence. That was cut. The list goes on. Not to get too deep, but there is a eugenics logic to the libertarian arguments used to dismantle public health infrastructure. The assumption is that for strong, able-bodied people, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and no care is given to immunosuppressed populations. Yeah, or it is the equivalent of Vanessa Hudgens saying, people will die, but like, that's just what happens. Yeah, 1000%. This mentality of, oh, we don't need these protections. We don't need these agencies tracking these pathogens. We don't need this type of health and research funding because these things are the attitude of like it quells the, cuts the weak from the strong. Like, yeah, it's very eugenics.
And it's the fresh fruits and vegetables. The main thing that people like me as a cardiologist are telling people to consume.
Right.
It's on fresh fruits and vegetables. These are little parasites, what we call little oocytes, the little eggs. That
I meant call. Yes, I meant calls, and then I started to say it differently.
Can get into your body and begin to develop and create more and more what we call havoc in the intestines, also known as diarrhea.
Mm-hmm. And so this is the time of year. I mean, you should be eating fresh fruits and vegetables
all
year
time.
long.
That's correct.
But this is
quells the funding to cull the population.
because the summer brunchy time, you have your fresh fruit salads and all that. Are you suggesting? Let me back up before we get there. How do people treat these? Of course, you should wash them.
Right.
But should we stay away from fresh fruits and have only cooked vegetables and fruits right now?
Right. Or are you saying, Dr. Morgan, do you recommend an ice cream summer and just avoid the fresh fruits and vegetables? So listen, let me just say, washing them actually doesn't remove all of the parasites.
Oh, no.
This is a part of the challenge. It can certainly decrease the number.
It's an ice cream
but it's not
summer.
foolproof. So what would we recommend? If you have lettuce, peel all the outside layers off.
Oh,
if
God.
you have fruits and vegetables and you're able to peel them,
thank you for the
peel
20
the
months.
outside layers off, because washing certainly helps and it's a really great hygiene to follow, but it doesn't actually get rid of all of the parasites of cyclosporiasis, unfortunately.
And the parasite is resistant to bleach. So when we're going to the public pool or to the water park or these splash pads, it could be there as well, right?
Certainly, we can find it in pools and water.
Yeah, y'all, I'm gonna be honest. Those like persons with active diarrheas should not go into the water. People disregard that. I know we always laugh at those signs. We're like, ha, 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 ha. Well, the reason that those signs were necessary in the first place is because persons with active diarrhea are going in the water. So I would just also caution going into public pools or other limited area bodies of water that have a lot of people in them.
Sources, and also, part of the reason that we find it in water sources is it's spread by something we call fecal oral route, which sounds disgusting.
It does.
But we sort of, eliminate it in our waste, and then it gets into the food supply. So it's not passed from person to person. We get it in our food supply as it passes through our body and waste, unfortunately.
So watch out for the fresh fruits and the pool.
I know, unfortunately. That's terrible advice from a cardiologist.
No.
31 states.
Nothing like talking about this pathogen that causes explosive diarrhea, amongst other symptoms, while just maintaining a giggly, sunny disposition. Maybe don't eat ass this summer. Oh, God. Wash your produce, cook it, wash your ass. I don't want to say ass off the menu, but maybe. Cook your ass before you eat it. Yeah. I think that's I think that's probably the move here. Wash it and then cook it.